Good day everyone, my name is John Kenneth Villas and my topic for today's discussion is business values and ethics under corporate social responsibility. My objective for this is to define what is business values and business ethics. Second, to identify the nature and levels of business ethics. And lastly, to value the importance of business values in the business. So what is ethics? So ethics is derived from the Greek word ethos, which means character or a person's fundamental orientation towards life. Ethics is based on a well-founded standards of right and wrong that is prescribe what humans ought to do, usually in terms of rights, obligations, benefits to society, fairness, or specific virtues. So what are the concept of business ethics? So according to W.H. Shaw, business ethics is the study of what constitute right or wrong, good or bad human conduct in a business context. So business ethics is the study of appropriate business policies and practices regarding potentially controversial subjects including corporate governance, insider trading, bribery, discrimination, corporate social responsibility, and fiduciary responsibilities. And now let us proceed to the nature of business ethics. So based on moral and social values, business ethics is based on moral and social values. It contains moral and social principles for doing business. So the main characteristics of business ethics are as follows. First, it is important in all types of business, large or small, manufacturing or services. Second, it is above law. It requires behavior which is socially desirable even if not legally. And lastly, it is dynamic term and may change over time. And now let us proceed to the elements of business ethics. So the main elements of business ethics are as follows. First, the values. Values are the moral beliefs held by an individual or organization and a society. It denotes the degree of importance of something or action with the aim of determining what actions are best to do or what way is best to live, or to describe the significance of different actions. The second element is the rights. Rights are the claims of the individual or organization. It is an expectation about something you deserve or a way to act that is justified through a legal or moral foundation. And the last element is the duties. Duties are the obligation of a person or an organization. Duties are a direct result of the acceptance of rights. Each person has a duty to uphold or respect another person's right, just as he has the duty to uphold your rights. And now let us proceed to the levels of business ethics. So the first level is the societal. So at this level, it questions about the basic instruction in a society. Societal level questions usually represents an ongoing debate among major competing institutions. So as managers and individuals, each of us can try to shape that debate. So the second level is the stakeholders. So this level is concerned with relations between a business enterprise and its stakeholders such as employees, customers, suppliers. So here we ask questions about how a company should deal with the external groups affected by its decision, as well as how the stakeholders should deal with the company. The third level is the internal policy. So at this level, relations between an organization and its employees are analyzed. So here, we ask questions about the nature of a company's relations with its employee. And the fourth level is the personal. So here, we ask questions about how people should treat one another within an organization. So these questions deal with the day-to-day issues of the life in any organization. And now let us proceed to the source of ethical standard. So there are four sources of ethical standard, which include societal attitudes, competitive pressures, legal environment, and the code of ethics. So the first one is the societal attitudes. So societal attitudes refer to prevailing beliefs espoused by and influenced by governments, culture, orientation, historical background, or other prevailing conditions. So the second one is the competitive pressures. Competitive pressure is defined in terms of its effect on a firm's incentives to undertake product and process innovations. The third one is the legal environment. So legal environment defines the legal boundaries and the scope of the firm. So it is a well known that any business is filed with activities that are concerned with numerous amounts of rules and regulations. And lastly, the code of ethics. So a company's code of ethics outlines the core values a company seeks to adhere to in its business operations. So it is a high-level overview of the principles and values at the organization wants those acting on their behalf to uphold when doing business. Now let us proceed to the need for ethics in business. So the first one, a business executive must take into consideration the moral and social consideration because these are the real motivating factors. Second, when an organization fails to behave in accordance with the social expectations, it may lose its image and market share. And lastly, a business manager is expected to serve as a trustee of various social groups. And as the trustee, he must observe the ethical values of the society. Now let us proceed to the factors governing business ethics. So business ethics has deep and wide root in society. So some of the pressure points of ethical behavior are given below. So the first factor is the value forming institutions. So the value of an individual is shaped by various institutions. So for example, the family, the religion, the school, and the government. These institutions prescribe what is good and bad for an individual. Right behavior is rewarded while wrong behavior is punished. This continues throughout the life of an individual as he acquires certain values through his daily experience in the long run. The second factor is the organizational goals. The objectives of an organization influence the values of its members. A business is an economic institution and it must be profitable. The classical economic theory stress profit maximization goal. So many times manager may be forced to compromise their personal ethical values in order to achieve organizational goals, but the goal may be tempered by many values. The third factor is the work and career. So work refers to the job and the tasks or responsibilities associated with it, while career on the other hand represents a series of jobs or positions. So each work has its own values and persons performing the work follow these values. So for example, salespeople may have different values than engineers. Thus, work and career creates special values that give unity, cohesion, and meaning to persons and groups. The fourth factor is the superiors. So most people succumb to pressure from superiors in doing things that they may consider unethical otherwise. So for example, a secretary may tell a visitor that the boss is out when he is actually in because her boss has told her to do so. So many a time an employee may sign false document due to pressure from the boss. The fifth factor is the peers and the colleagues. So an individual in a work group tends to conform to the norms of the group. So he does so either to get approved or friendship of his colleagues. So he adopts the attitudes, beliefs, and values of the group to which he is associated. So thus, the behavioral standard of the peers and colleagues exercise a significant influence on the value system of an individual. So for example, a persona may justify some indiscretions on the basis that everybody is doing it. The last factor is the professional codes. So these days, three types of codes are available. The first one is the big companies formulate their philosophy or creed to guide the behavior of their employees. So the main objective of this document is to build the company's image by showing the company's concern for ethical behavior in the society. Secondly, company policies contain a code to guide actions that have an ethical conduct. So example, no discrimination in recruitment on basis of caste, creed, sex, and religion. Thirdly, professional bodies have prescribed ethical codes to govern the conduct of their members. So that's all for the factors governing business ethics. Now let us proceed to developing a corporate ethical program. So the first one is the management commitment. Management commitment is direct participation by the highest level executives in a specific and critically important aspect or program of an organization. The second one is the ethical codes. Ethical codes are adopted by organization to assist members in understanding the difference between right and wrong and in applying the understanding to their decisions. The third one is the communication system. Communication system is a collection of individual telecommunications networks, transmission systems, relay stations, tributary stations, and terminal equipment, usually capable of interconnection and interoperation to form an integrated whole. And lastly, the enforcement. Enforcement is the process of making sure that people obey something such as a law or a rule. Now let us proceed to the benefits of ethical codes. So a code encourages discussions of ethics and compliance, empowering employees to handle ethical dilemmas they encounter in everyday work. So it can also serve as a valuable reference, helping employees locate relevant documents, services, and other resources related to ethics with the organization. The person who can benefit the ethical codes are the customers, the employees, the company, the industry, and the society. And now let us proceed to the concept of corporate values. So these are the set of guiding principles and fundamental beliefs that help a group of people function together as a team and work towards a common business goal. So the moral beliefs or convictions that guide judgment and action in different situations influence the objectives and priorities of corporate managers. So now let us proceed to the importance of values in business. So values determine the course of business, which in turn influence strategy and decision making. So the first one is the corporate culture. So corporate culture refers to the beliefs and behaviors that determine how a company's employees and management interact and handle outside business transactions. The second one is ends, means, chain. So leaders set the organizational mission, find a set of means for achieving the mission, take each of those means as a sub-goal, and then find means for the sub-goals, and so on. So until goals exist for every member of the organization. The third one is the guides to action. So an action plan is a document that lists what steps must be taken in order to achieve a specific goal. So the purpose of an action plan is to clarify what resources are required to reach the goal. So formulate a timeline for when specific tasks need to be completed and determine what resources are required. The fourth one is the objective standards. So objective standards are independent measures of legitimacy that helps negotiators. So negotiators evaluate what is fair, reasonable, or acceptable in an agreement. The fifth and the last one. The fifth and the last one is the social responsibility. So social responsibility means that business, in addition to maximizing shareholder value, should act in a manner that benefits society. So the values and ethics of business are the moral code by which the business operate. So while no business can control the action of every employee, it can define expectations and develop procedures for violations. So ethics and values are important within a business organization because they influence moral and decisions within an organization and need to be present in order to promote business sustainability. So that's all for my report. Thank you for listening.